How's it going, everyone? My name is McQ and welcome to Toilet Talk. Today's episode, I'm going to be talking about talking. Actually, can you imagine that? I'm going to be talking specifically more about, specifically, I'm going to be talking about, how to talk to strangers or in an awkward conversation. This is a weird skill that hopefully everybody can pick up. I actually haven't really met anyone that can't learn how to talk to a stranger more or less, or even talk out of your way out of an awkward situation. I have heard that the best way to defuse an awkward situation is to be in enough awkward situations yourself, meaning that you are so diffused by be in awkward situations a lot yourself, meaning that you are just so used to awkward situations that you don't even realize it's awkward. This can eventually lead to you just kind of talking your way out of it, or talking to strangers, probably is what is most common to being in an awkward situation, for the most part. So this video is mostly about how I myself interact with these awkward situations or talking with strangers. Now, my current employment forces me to interact with strangers a lot on a daily basis every time I go into work. And I've always considered myself a silver-tongued devil, if you know what I mean. So doing my job has even allowed me to experience more awkward things and awkward conversations with strangers or with people who aren't exactly strangers. But at the same time, it's allowed me to grow as an anti-awkward diffuser bomb thing, so yeah. Now, it's not to say that every single conversation that you're gonna have is not going to be awkward. You're definitely gonna get several more of those conversations. Like if your parents find you-know-what underneath the bed. I think you know what I mean. Just a bunch of, like, all of your dirty laundry underneath your bed. Not like a dead body or some kind of magazine or something like that, because, yeah, I mean, why would you have that stuff underneath your bed? So the first thing I like to do when I'm talking to a stranger or an awkward situation is I make direct eye contact. Now, that's actually might be what you might think of the complete opposite thing to do in that situation, but I find that if you make direct eye contact, it generally opens yourself more up for a conversation, installing that someone needs to say something, which can lead to awkwardness. But that'll go into my next point. After making eye contact, just smile. It's as simple as that. Just smile. Have a good smile, not a creepy smile. Just a smile. Follow that by a general hello, how are you doing? Or you can even go as far as to start a conversation by talking about something simple, like the weather. What old people do. Old people are great for starting conversations and just being awkward themselves, but them not realizing that they're actually in an awkward situation because they're old and possibly senile and don't even realize that. I find that one of the best ways to start a conversation is just to mention something off the top of my head. Now, that goes to say that you shouldn't always say what's on the first thing that comes to mind, because I've certainly had some situations where I've said something at the first thing on my mind, and that didn't, let's just say it wasn't really appropriate for that. I pretty much just said to a lady, I need to go to the bathroom. Word for word, I need to go to the bathroom. It was completely random. I have no reason to say that, but it doesn't always work, is my point. So back to the weather thing. Saying how's the weather, and generally just the topic of the weather, is something that everyone can comment on. It's simple, it's relevant, and it's what old people talk about. And old people, as we know, have a lot to say about everything. So You can definitely count on old people as a template, if you will, on what to say. A recent tactic I've used in communicating with people that know me for some reason, but I don't know them, or I just have a really bad memory and don't remember them, is the first thing I'll say is, how's the family doing? Or how's the husband doing? Or the wife? This allows the other person to respond back to me if they know me and say, great, yeah, Tim's doing fine. He's growing at an alarming rate, and he is finishing up school, and he just learned how to play the accordion. And while I'm listening to this conversation, I could immediately think oh yeah, I remember Tim. Great guy. And that makes the whole situation a little bit easier to deal with because you now know who to talk about, and just a point in which you can start talking to about the family. And once you're more experienced with talking with strangers, you can even comment on their clothes or their hairstyle or just anything about them. Just be sure you're confident about it and you're not a peeping Tom or checking them out in the wrong way. Another big thing that I do when talking with strangers or with people that make an awkward situation happen is something my dad always says, and that is, walk confident and carry a clipboard. If you look confident and act like you're carrying a clipboard, people will think that you are actually important and know what you're talking about. This can also be applied with talking with strangers or with an awkward situation, because now you appear as if you know what you're talking about and you know what you're doing. Again, these are just tips and strategies that I've learned to do throughout my years of several awkward encounters and strangers. So it takes practice, I will admit that. A lot of practice, a lot of awkward situations that I myself had to be put into to be able to diffuse an awkward situation. Now that's not to say that these tactics will work 100% of the time. There may be just a weird guy that will constantly be asking you where are the ketchup packs when you clearly are a place that does not sell ketchup packs and you don't know what he's doing. He looks really sketchy. Yeah, there's just certain situations where you will not be able to diffuse an awkward situation or know the right thing to say to a stranger. So those are some tips that I use to diffuse an awkward situation or to talk with strangers on a daily basis. Take it from me that these actually do work once you build up your character and you build up your bravado to do such a thing, and then eventually, hopefully, that these awkward situations and these strangers will be a cinch to you. You'll be able to talk about your second cousin twice removed and how they eventually became a transgender person that lives in Alaska that hunts sea lions for the local circus. You'll be able to tell his entire life story, or is it her entire life story? But anyways, you'll be okay. And that's it for this episode of Toilet Talk. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Toilet Talk and allowing me to share some of the what few knowledge I have onto you. Hopefully you'll be able to take this knowledge and apply it to your daily life so you can have a better life. Be sure to click on any of the annotations I have around and check out some of my other vids, and if you haven't, please subscribe. It will help me, it'll help you bring more stuff to you so I can entertain you, and it's just good to share the love around. Why not? Because love is great. And I have a question for you, which is, what was your most awkward situation that you've ever been? And if you did diffuse it, how did you diffuse it? Let me know by writing in the comments below. And with that, I will see you in the next episode. See you later.